If you fail, the military comes in and kills you and me and everyone that you know.
So much more than fun in games at the Cartoon Cabal. Beyond what's just in the name at the Cartoon Cabal. See just at what cost comes fame at the Cartoon Cabal. So much more than fun in games at the Cartoon Cabal.
Hello, welcome to the Cartoon Cabal. We're looking at all the episodes of the original Neon Genesis Evangelion. Today it's Magma Diver. I don't know. That's all I can do. I can't remember what any of the rest of Holy Diver sounds like at the moment in my mind. Nothing against the song. That's just the only part I can remember. Can you remember some more melody from Holy Diver? Ronnie James Dio?
Magma.
Okay, you're going more of a Dr. Evil vibe there. That's fine.
I don't do any voices really well, so I'm glad that you picked up on it.
I picked it. Well, he's got volcano layers, right? And sharks with frickin' lasers on their heads. Anyway, this is Matt here. It's Paranoid American over there, keeping it groovy, diving into some magma.
Howdy.
Howdy. Well, that was different, I think. Okay. So, Magma Diver, I do have to just throw out, what is your opinion on this episode as far as the ones you've seen?
I liked it. It was goofy. It was like Willy Wonka-y. It had a lot of sort of slapstick kind of comedy, but I also, so far, this episode reminds you the most, like, these are 14-year-old kids that are trying to do all these crazy things, and they act like 14-year-olds.
One, I did keep telling you there's going to be a hot spring episode when you least expect it, and here it is.
Okay, well, yeah, we'll say that for the end. Let's not rush all the way through it.
No, I'm just like, I think I said that in episode where there's probably going to be a hot spring episode at some point, right? Here we go. Also,
do you think this is the hot spring episode, or do you think now there's hot springs in episodes going forward?
We will see. I don't know. Like I said, I was trying to search for the location of this one out of curiosity, if they tried to base it on a real one, because I think they might have. And I ended up instead finding that there's a Evangelion themed hot spring in Hakone, which is Tokyo 3, and it has like a second impact room or something. It looks all melted and stuff while you're in the hot spring.
Cool. I'm not gonna lie.
I know. No. I was like, damn, I want to go there. That's what I thought.
Sounds really cool. Yeah.
Japan's red. Oh, the water is red. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go there. Okay. Anyway, if I look out my window over here, I can see a house and a little mountain. Right. If I walk over to my parent-in-law's room and look out their window, I see Mount Asama. So that kind of endeared me to this episode. That is actually, this episode took place right here, which was exciting for me.
Okay, I didn't even know that. That's cool. It's a cool side detail.
So I live right next to Mount Asama. It is active. If you want to hike it, there's often you cannot because there's too much methane in the air. If you ever hear Mount Asama explodes, you might actually want to send a "Are you okay?" message, because I might not be.
That kind of sounds like some of the mountains in Appalachia, except they just have lots of meth in the air.
Up in the Myth Mountains of Appalachia. Yeah, I like that. Okay. See, I'm from Georgia. I'm like, I can't be from that's got to be the Kentucky ones, right? Appalachian. They don't have it in Kentucky, do they? I just made myself. Tennessee. The Tennessee people have the Meth Mountains. Georgia, we're cool, right? Probably not.
No, definitely not.
No.
And this one too, the episode starts out with Asuka, the new 14-year-old redhead, going bikini shopping with Kanji, the 30-year-old playboy.
Yes, in Shibuya, which is the place with the crossing. That's not it, but it was I mean, obviously that's underwater in the show, but it was basically made to look like here is the trendiest place you can shop at. So that was very key to Japanese artists audiences, that this is the trendiest place. Ginza would be the expensive place. That's where you're going to, buy the custom suits and stuff. But, a teenager, that's like their haven, it's, you go there and then it's a 10-minute walk to Harajuku, which is, the other bastion of teenage fashion.
So I'm getting the feeling too that even though this is late 90s when it's shot, and I say shot as if it's like, it's like a movie, but when it was aired, and she comes across as a modern day influencer, like a TikTok influencer, like bubbly appearances, wants to be out seen shopping, like constantly needs attention from everyone. So the archetype, I guess, is evergreen, but she fits it perfectly. Like no one really necessarily was filling that stereotypical of a role. It would have been Shinji if Shinji just had a little bit of life in him, but he doesn't. And if Rei had a little bit of life in her, and she definitely doesn't. So now we've got Asuka kind of fills that particular role in this story. Like she's the one that's going to be the catalyst. You can tell.
But they're on call, so she's not going to Okinawa. And I felt her pain. I've been to Okinawa a few times. Our company occasionally has trips. If around this time of year, if the company's doing very well, they're like, we're going to Okinawa. And one year it was Hokkaido, right? The northern island. And just yesterday, they had the big company meeting where the announcement was, and for those 3 days in September, we're having 2 days of training and you get 1 day off. So that was no Okinawa this year for me. So I put this on like, oh, I feel the pain. Yeah. Honestly, we have so many new employees. I didn't really think we were going to have a trip this year anyway. So it is somewhat, like putting on the airs of disappointment. I would have been surprised if we were going this year.
When she talks about it's a class trip, and I know this is like a post-apocalyptic world that they're living in, but is this normal that a class of 8th graders would all go on a scuba diving trip together at the end of a school year?
Yes, absolutely. My daughter just started high school. Last year was 3rd year junior high. That's where these people are, right? These kids are. Yeah. And like every kid in Japan in the 3rd grade of junior high, which is the 9th grade, I think, they have a trip to Kyoto and maybe Nara too. So, and it's crowded as hell in the fall because they also want to go in October for some reason. So don't go to Kyoto in the fall is a good travel tip for folks, or you will be drowning in school children. And then my daughter's school, she went to Australia in March. The whole school went to Australia. So that was an even bigger trip that they had. So this one was a tiny trip compared to that. Although they went and they were supposed to, I guess, go to do a exchange school there for 5 days. And then that big cyclone came through in March, and she got to know her host family pretty well. And they visited us a few weeks ago. So the circle is complete.
I'm a little jealous. We can't behave ourselves in America, so we don't really have anything like this. This would be an absolute nightmare for the teachers' chaperones, especially at the end of middle school, which is probably the very worst moment to be around kids is when they're in middle school.
Wait, this is interesting. We're about 4 years different age. And when I was in the 9th grade, now I went to like a magnet school, so I guess we were supposed to be better kids or something. But
I went to public school. Let me just clarify that.
It was public. Mine was public. It was just like the magnet school because DeKalb County, Georgia, famously, how did it work? They didn't want to do forced busing when integration came in. So they're like, we will make this appealing school where we will have a very balanced ethnic diversity, which is correct. The school I went to was extremely ethnically diverse. But anyway, the point is it was a public school. It was DeKalb County trying to get around forced busing or something. But the result was like, here's for the smart kids. It's the smart kids. It's not just us trying to have a token of everybody, which was actually the case. But in the 9th grade, we had a class trip to Washington, D.C. and New York from Atlanta. So that's a equally.
That is significant. No, when I was in school, the only time that anyone went on trips like that was if you were in some specific extracurricular club and it was a special event that, other adults and chaperones willingly did. The only actual class trip that wasn't a field trip, like to a science center, was in Florida when you graduate high school, or at least the year before you graduate. Sometimes you'll get to go to Disney or Universal Studios and there's no adults allowed. And it's all just high schoolers essentially in the parks. And sometimes they'll do it at fairgrounds if it's middle schoolers. But again, that's done during like a regular school day. And it's just you show up in the morning and you leave in the afternoon. It's not like a full blown trip.
Oh, okay. I guess I shouldn't talk about it. My extracurricular trip. Well, now I have to. Yeah, I played in the county orchestra. So it was the same conductor as my classes in high school. So it was affiliated with the public school system still, but it was like, kids who could actually play their instruments would go play in this orchestra. And we took a 15-day trip to Europe playing concerts. So That was a bigger school trip. Yeah, the Asuka's trip to Okinawa, that's small beans compared to the trips I had in school, and that my daughter.
And you didn't have to pilot an Ava to save the Earth from falling.
So they let me go. That's right. Yeah. University, I missed out. I was the vice president of the university union, and there's every year they go to this convention of things, and it was in Boston. And they had somehow remembered in the budget, they had put all the department heads in the budget, but they forgot to put the executives in the budget. So the executives had to stay home. Now, by that job was basically just I had to go to all the events and take pictures, and I had to drive people around when they are, on campus doing shows. That's why I think I've been talking. I don't know, is this podcast, but I've had weird days with people like we talked about Jimmy Fallon because I don't know what his public persona is, but I hung out with him for a day because I was driving around campus. So
you talked to Jimmy Fallon?
I drove him around. I had lunch with him all day. Yeah, I was in charge of Jimmy Fallon for a day in 2001.
Well, that's why in the early 2000s, I used to work alongside Carson Daly for a number of things because he was always showing up doing like backstage stuff at Disney.
But the weird thing about that is I hung out with Jimmy Fallon, not his public persona, and I've never watched his show. So that I've seen a little bit now. So real, energetic guy, that's definitely not who I was hanging out with. At the same time, a few years ago, they were like, he's a prick, right? Like apparently just running the Tonight Show.
Well, when he's not on his adrenochrome, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, my point is, my day with Jimmy Fallon in 2001, he was perfectly nice. We had a good time. He wasn't a prick, but he was not that public persona either. So
it was before he started hitting the sauce real hard.
Hitting the sauce. But anyway, so I got to drive around Margaret Cho, Jimmy Fallon, and the Upright Citizens Brigade. But Philip Glass. But I did not get to go to Boston. So Philip Glass was very awesome. Chatty, by the way. He wouldn't shut up, which is surprising.
Who wouldn't?
Philip Glass. Minimalist composer, you feel like a guy like that would be a very serious, quiet man, and no, he was telling stories about David Byrne babysitting his kids that were like really bizarre. So,
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I could talk some crap about a few people too if you want, but I guess I'll be nice and not do that today. I'm just you want to tell the celebrities who are nice. You want to talk about the ones that sucked.
Well, let's steer it back before we get you in trouble. It's because you want to be able to drive Jimmy Fallon around again before we talk too much about his adrenochrome habits.
Oh, you know what? One of them we had a wall of shame at the University Union with it was hidden in a closet of celebrities that were horrible. I will say one because his reputation is now as being a grumpy crank, which was Bill Maher was on our wall of shame.
Okay, I mean, I am definitely not surprised.
That's by that not surprising to anyone now, so I can say that,
So one of the other things that happens because we find out that she's not allowed to go on a trip because she has to pilot an Ava, or she has to be on standby, and Asuka's not very happy about that. And then she looks to Shinji, big mistake, but she looks to Shinji like Shinji's going to speak up on her behalf, or that he's even going to speak up on his own behalf. And he says like, "Oh yeah, I pretty much figured that we weren't going to go on this trip because we are Avas, like we're trying to protect the world." And she calls him housebroken. She screams at him and says, "Act like a man." And then Mitsugo shows up drunk as always and slams
with a different beer. She has a new beer, by the way. Which
BOA. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I actually have a note here, so I'll get back to you on that. But I have a note about that. She's
switching beer brands around, mid episode sometimes, and we basically find out at that point that Asuka, even though she's only 14, she's already been to college. She's graduated. She is incredibly smart. And she sees that Shinji is doing homework about thermal expansion. And for some reason, her explanation of how thermal expansion works is she says, if I were to warm up my breasts with my hands, would they grow or would they shrink? And Shinji like freaks out. He doesn't know what to say. He's like, I don't think about things like that. And my note was until now.
Oh, and after that, so let's keep in mind. First, she sticks her breast into Shinji's face. Then she asks that, and then she flops back into the pool, going backdoor entry. Which I'm like, I wouldn't have read into it except for the previous two, bits.
And that point too, it was funny because he's at the pool hanging out, and then like Ray's over there, and he's not even paying attention to Asuka. Like even though she always needs to be the center of attention, he's not paying any attention to her. And then when she notices that he's not paying attention, that's when it's like, look at me, backdoor entry, and like jumps into the pool.
Again, so maybe it's a Kodakashi.
it kind of emphasizes how completely different she and Shinji are, even though they're supposed to be like the pair now. The state is forcing them to become a pair. This is almost like the Oneida cult, if you know anything about them.
I want to do a couple, just the beer, the boa, because it was a reference to the boa juice that appears in the anime movie Flying Phantom Ship. And one of the reasons it stood out to me is because she's been drinking Nibisu the whole time. She doesn't change brands, and she did change brands in this episode. So that stood out to me. What else? Oh, yes, the fact that Asuka's like, I already finished college. This is a recurring nightmare, I guess. You know what? It is a nightmare. I have things, I often dream of the apocalypse. I put an album by that name. I have monsters chasing me, but the dreams that make me feel the worst or when I wake up are the ones where I'm in school again. And then I realized I'm stressed now. I'm like, wait a minute, I have a university degree. What am I doing here? I'm like, oh my God, she's living my actual nightmare. Like weirdly, because the nightmares emotionally affect you weirdly, right? The monster chasing you. It's like, oh, that was actually kind of fun. But this one I always like, oh, and actually it sometimes goes lucid in that case, because in a good case it goes lucid, because then I realize I finished university. But yeah, I was just like, it's weird that this references like who's in junior high after they finish college. There's never a reason for that unless you're Cameron Crowe, right?
Well, and this is what like they need, that this is her only form of socialization is by, I guess, going and being around other kids her own age. But yeah,
I guess that.
And I also have a recurring nightmare that's kind of like that, but I am back in boot camp and or just military, and I sometimes do go lucid too, where it's like, wait a minute, like I already did this, like I graduated from all this.
So when she screams at Misato, really, who cares about grades? She's 100% correct. She should go out of her way to like just get F's and everything. Why not? Who cares about grades? She has a freaking, like physics university degree or something.
but she doesn't have good grades because she doesn't understand Japanese yet.
Well,
she can't
yes, okay. Yet. Yeah. Oh,
so everyone thinks that she's like a ditzy idiot because she's not doing well on her Japanese schoolwork, not realizing that she's a literal genius.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. But yeah. Nightmares. Let's see. Oh, so then we move on. So we got the school stuff. They're hanging out at a pool. Also a place that gave me flashbacks. My high school did have a pool. I couldn't go in there much because of the chlorine levels. I get a headache within 5 minutes. So watching that scene, I was like, I hope the scene doesn't go on for 5 minutes or it's going to give me a virtual migraine.
Part of me thinks that this pool that they're in isn't necessarily like a school pool recreation style, because we see Shinji's there, Asuka's there, and Ray is there, and all
Ray's
three
doing laps. Yeah,
and these are the 14-year-old Ava pilots that I'm gonna say, Project Monarch, MK Ultra victims on the side, right? And I just kept thinking of Minority Report and the precogs, and how the precogs, you send these 3 people into the water and they float there like a isolation tank, John C. Lilly, Joe Rogan style, and that's how they kind of hone some of their abilities. So I wonder if all 3 of them being in this pool and being all these Ava pilots has some deeper meaning than like they're just swimming for fun and exercise.
That is one thing. They're in the plug suits and they're filled with liquid. I'm still confused a few episodes ago where Shinji gets into Asuka's machine. Does that mean both of them are like in liquid when they're in there? I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that it's only with this amniotic fluid that keeps them like sustained. It's almost like the things in the Cars and Demolition Man when a car smashes somewhere, the entire car fills up with like a gel that then hardens to protect you from impact. I think that's part of what this amniotic fluid is that they put the Avas in.
Yeah, I guess it's because they mention it, and then that makes it confusing. And after that, it's just kind of like we're just supposed to be smart and assume that they're in it when they're in the Avas. So
and we also get a really good idea of, you're talking in the previous episode how these are supposed to be silly and like a parody, and we find
this
out
one not so much of a parody. It's still supposed to be more lighthearted, but the last one was the specific parody, like
of Ultraman.
Yeah, the scene at the Ultraman, for our American audience who didn't get my weird pronunciation thing from last episode. But yeah, the fight scene at the end specifically was supposed to be kind of a mech parody, where this one is definitely more, I would almost say this one's in like kind of standard Ava style, disregarding the Magma.
Okay, so when I'm watching this one, I felt like it was the parody of Willy Wonka.
No, Willy Wonka.
Because the first thing we find out is Asuka is all excited that she gets to show everyone up. They pick her. She's a pick me, and they pick her. So she's in her world right now, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to show you all what's up." And then we find out that she's going to be, and this is the namesake of the title, Magma Diver, right? Well, we find out that they have discovered an egg that is at the bottom. I'm just going to make some stuff up here to simplify it, but they found like an egg in the bottom of a volcano, essentially, and the egg has the embryo of an angel, and they want to grab this angel embryo egg from the bottom of the magma before it hatches and turns into a demon, essentially. So they send Asuka down into this volcano or this magma pit, but in order to shield her from the heat, she has to press this button on her suit. When she presses the button on her suit, it turns into like a fat suit, just like a standard fat suit, and she looks like the blueberry girl from Willy Wonka, essentially. And now she's so embarrassed because she cares so much about appearances that she doesn't want anyone to see her wearing this fat suit. But the fat suit is there to shield her from the heat of the magma. And it's kind of doubly funny because no one's even going to see her, because she goes from being in this fat suit to going inside the mech. And the Ava itself is also in kind of a fat suit, or it's like an extra thick metal suit. So I didn't really get why she was ready to not even go, because she was so embarrassed that this shielding made her look big. But who's even seeing her? There was no one even seeing her.
I have a 16-year-old daughter. These things happen.
Okay, so a typical 14-year-old girl that's like, this Ava suit makes me look fat, so I'm not going to school today.
Yeah, exactly. These things happen. Although the funny thing is, I was like, haha, it's funny. Who cares? Just like you. But then a minute later, I looked away from her. I looked back, and I remember I was starting to type a note, and every once in a while, if my mouse is in the wrong place, it'll kind of like make my media player like do something weird and pause or whatever. So I start playing again, and it's got the heat effect now. And I start, it's starting to play again with the wrong aspect ratio. And I was like, oh no, that's the fat suit. So I got fooled by the fat suit.
It pretty much worked. So they lure her down into the magma, and there's a lot of these like trope style. All right, she's too far. The pressure's too great.
That's where I was feeling the abyss. The abyss is, cold and wet. This is hot and dry. But otherwise, I was definitely getting abyss vibes.
Yeah, but it's the same difference, because in this case, because of the heat effect, she can't see the same as if you were going into a dark abyss, like in the middle of the ocean. And they keep going deeper and deeper. And Masago's just like, I don't care, keep going deeper. They're like, oh my God, she could implode. And she's like, we're here for a reason. So,
well, Dad did give the death order for Shinji and her if necessary. So
right, that was I don't really fully understand this concept. So if this goes wrong, them retrieving an angel embryo at the bottom of this volcano, if this goes wrong, the Air Force and the UN have orders to just destroy them and destroy all of Nerve, I guess. And that was
my house too.
That was a pretty serious implication that there was no build up to it. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, if you fail, this is new rules. This is a new thing that we haven't done before. If you fail, the military comes in and kills you and me and everyone that you know.
Yeah, that's hardcore for the military. So, and then when they're coming up, they very quickly start patting themselves on the back way too soon. So of course everything goes south at that point.
Yeah, so after they get it, and Asuka's like, oh, this is so easy. This was easy as pie. And then it shows Mitsugo and everyone else at Nerve headquarters, and they're like, oh, wow, what a cakewalk. And I looked at the playtime. I was like, oh, we got another 10 minutes left. This is absolutely going to go sideways. And then it does, because the angel embryo starts to give birth inside this little egg as they're trying to like teleport it. And they've got it enclosed in an electromagnetic cage that is essentially just the scaffolding, like the skeleton of a cage, but then the walls are formed by electromagnetism, I guess, but it's too strong and it can break out of this electromagnetism.
Yeah. And so what do we get? They toss, she just drops her sword, which makes sense because she just has that weird claw thing, you know? And Shinji drops his, which they're kind of a knife, are they? Did I say knife in this one? Seems like a sword to me.
It's a sword.
Okay. I was just like, knife? That seems too small.
Well,
and that's in like that casing.
It's definitely a sword, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's like a katana set. There's the bigger one, the smaller one, which I can't remember the name of. But yeah, they might say that's the knife, that's a sword if they were doing it in English. So now that the angel in this one, I was thinking a tardigrade, which I don't know if that was a thing in 1996. This is mentioning trilobites, like the angel in this one's modeled after a trilobite.
Well, I think a tardigrade is also a real thing, isn't it? They're based on the little water. Oh, what the hell do they call those little water animals?
Well, they can live in the volcanic vents at the bottom of the ocean, which is pretty hardcore, right? Apparently, they can survive in space. There's a Star Trek episode with a giant tardigrade. So, I'm thinking tardigrades, but I guess trilobites are. Well, that's a little, I guess, more old school, isn't it? They're like
Trilobite are like the little hard insect-looking things that you find in fossils all the time.
Right. So, I guess, yeah, because we get the big, weird, tentacly mouth. Honestly, it looks like a sarlacc, if anything, I guess, but from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, so tardigrades are real things. It's an actual organism. It's not just fictional. So I think it was a straight up tardigrade.
I don't know if we actually get the name of the angel in the episode, do we? But it's a Sandalphon.
Oh, where'd you get that from?
I'm sitting here looking at Wiki, so I'm.
You're cheating.
I'm cheating, yeah.
And it was water bear. That's the other name for a tardigrade is a water bear. As well as
yeah. But okay, I'm cheating. I'm looking at Wiki here, but links it with a biblical book of Enoch, in which the word heaven, the abode of angels, actually exists as an earthly location, because Sandalphon is discovered in the magma chamber of a volcano. Angels exist in the same world as ours. Okay, it's kind of been implied they're coming from space or something before, or from the.
Well, okay, so that's another one of the things that came up either in this episode or in the previous one, where they
Antarctica,
said
yeah.
They said they didn't have as much military shielding from all the previous battles. We're kind of whittling down the defenses and the resources that we've got here. So now they're basically doing the equivalent of camping out at a spawn point. They're going to meet these angels where they originally make contact, which is at what they say the edge of the water, the edge of the ocean, which might be from Antarctica, maybe, but they're going all the way out and then fighting these angels at their spawn point instead of allowing them to come closer to Tokyo 3.
The ice wall surrounds us, and there are angels in it, just lined up, and for the full.
It's not the
diameter.
Military keeping us out of the lands outside of Antarctic wall. It's angels.
The angels. Hey, if you did want to go that route, that would make a pretty good plot. We're all being kept in here by then we'd have Gnosticism, and yeah, that could work well if it was legit to make a major anime based on flat Earth concepts.
That would be the worst job as an angel, though. It's just like you're just going to act as a bouncer to the Arctic wall, and that's all you're here for.
Well, they don't seem to have a lot of personality so far. So
fair point. Just lots of eyeballs.
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, of course they succeed because there's more episodes after this. Kind of succeed. I guess they didn't succeed because they didn't get a live angel, though, huh?
Well, we don't really know because it said to be continued, like it usually does.
Yeah, that's an assumption.
Although, before the to be continued, this is where we get to the hot springs that you've been predicting since day one.
Yes. Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? You're not gonna. It is funny because the town I go to, it's like near Asama, and there's like 4 different onsens, day use ones. Now they clearly went to a ryokan, a traditional inn, and they're staying overnight, because they put their name on the door. So if you go to a day use, that's definitely not happening. But yeah.
And I guess this episode, toward especially at the end of it, they like lean all the way. And like, we were joking the previous episode, like, oh, this is the horniest episode. So this is clearly the horniest episode. I won't ruin all of like the funny kind of lines that come up at the very end, but there is a joke where Shinji's like, "Oh no, thermal expansion," and he's kind of getting aroused, and the penguin points it out. The penguin like yells at him because he's getting a little frisky, and this is kind of like towards the very end of it. Except they then pan over to the other side of this like bamboo fence. I guess it's like a privacy fence between the boys and the girls at the falls, or at in this like hot spring. And when we see it, it's actually Mitsugo and Asuka, and they're together. And the entire scene, we're like a half inch away from this being like an adult hentai the entire time.
It's because I often go to the day use ones on Monday, and like I can hear the ladies talking to the other side. Now I'm sitting in there with a bunch of old men, so it's very easy to conjecture that I probably don't want to see the lady side in this case, but.
But I mean, this again was just like, I get it, all you freaking anime nerds. This is why you like this freaking series so much.
But there are signs like, do not wear a swimsuit into hot springs. You're not allowed to wear a swimsuit in there. So, yeah.
Oh, really? That's a requirement.
Yeah. No, everyone has to run around naked. You can, I guess you can carry like a hand towel, and like if you really feel like covering your junk with the towel when you're out of the water, you can do that. But there's nothing extra horny about the fact that they're all running around naked. That's simply onsen culture.
No, that's not. But there's a specific sequence of events that happens here when they're like, Shinji, throw me the shampoo bottle, and he throws it over the fence. And at least in the English version, it's like, oh, you hit me in my private part. And then one of the other girls in their side,
you're tickling me.
I'll get it for you. And she's like, oh, you're tickling me. Oh, your skin. So like it gets into like and it reminded me of this scene in Dirty Work. I don't know if you've seen Dirty Work. If not, you absolutely should have.
I think I did a very long time ago.
McDonald and Arnie, whatever his name is from Mad TV, that had like his like face collapse from coke or whatever. But anyways, there's a scene in there where they're trying to punish this family that ends up being a bunch of drug dealers, but they hide like dead fish inside this house. So these people that they think they're just like doing a prank on, and it turns out it's like a cartel. But the scene, they're hiding in the other room, and they're like, this is going to be so funny when this family comes home and they smell all this dead fish. They're going to freak out, man. It's going to be hilarious. And it turns out they're doing a drug deal next door. It's not just some random family. And one of the guys is like, smells like dead fish in here. And they're like, is that a sign? Are you working for the DEA? And it turns into like this big shootout. And since they didn't have the budget, they're not showing this like all this crazy stuff happening in the room next door, but they're screaming it out. So one of the guys is like, oh no, he got a chainsaw. And you hear da 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 da. And he's like, oh my God, he cut off my arms, but now he took the chainsaw and he's using it on me. Da, 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 da. So they're like describing everything that's happening. And this is like a perverted version of that one where like every single event that's happening, they're all like getting real pervy with it. And Shinji's just over here. And that's when the penguin's like,
Yeah, it is too horny and weird, and it does make you think too much of, I'm hanging out in Akihabara, which is Geek Central. But there is a certain line, like we are animating, two ladies sitting around completely nude, like where you're just almost seeing parts, that's horny, there's no way around that. So, but there are ladies just sitting around naked at hot springs too. So that's not weird.
I don't think we're like over sexualizing this. I guess the ultimate point is now if I see someone wearing a Neon Genesis Evangelion shirt in public, I'm like, keep my eye on you, bud.
Well, that's why I just bought it for I'm wearing Boba Fett today too. I didn't even put it on, but I haven't worn that shirt in public, partly because of that. But hey, 7-Eleven just had a big Evangelion promotion. You buy a ticket for 800 yen, and then you pull the thing out, and there's like A, B, C, D, and you get whatever that is. I didn't do that one. I did the tickets for Hanamaru Obake-san, which is a Sanrio character. It's a ghost that goes around giving you like teacher good job symbols.
Okay. Well, I mean, this series.
I have the pen in my pocket.
Oh, you have it on you.
Yeah, I got also folders for my daughter, but yeah, there's Hanamaru Obake-san. You see the red pencil, right? So Hanamaru Obake-san just goes around and gives you good job things. So not a popular Sanrio character, by the way. It's hard to find materials about that character, which is one of the reasons.
The good teacher that gives out gold stars to students.
This is now the kids think it's funny because I start doing the Hanamaru thing and they're looking at the pin and they think that's funny. So, but it's not a popular Sanrio. It's not like Cinnamoroll or Hello Kitty or Palm. I can't actually. I Kuromi. Okay, I can't name that many Sanrio characters, to be honest. But I can do Hanamaru Obake-san. So got that one down. Okay, go ahead. I haven't even done one.
Well, I'll just say that's it. It basically shows Asuka and Mitsugu at the hot springs, and then it pans out, and then it just says to be continued. So that's
we do need to throw in. They do throw in a bit of development there because Misato has like this horrible scar in her belly. Where it's like there's a story there. Probably she says it happened during the second impact. And then Asuka is like, I have this like dark, disturbing story, that we don't want people to know about. So that's got to be a plot point later on.
She said something like, you probably know everything about me, but she says it in an ominous way. Like there's some big secrets. And Mitsugu is just kind of like, well, it's my job to know and don't worry about it. Or specifically, she says, it's all ancient history. You really ought to let it go. And then it's to be continued.
Yeah. But I guess that's what the tonal shifts of the show that makes it interesting, but also weird that we go from this practical, like, oh, geez, I feel like I shouldn't be watching this as an adult man to, like heavy stuff.
Yeah, it goes twists. From like Porky's to the pianist or something.
Right. Hey, that's the end of the episode then. To be continued. I guess we're also to be continued. You want to tell people where you're at?
Yeah, I'm at paranoidamerican.com. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on always. One of the things that you can go and look at is satanicpaniccomic.com. If you want to fight angels and demons, you can help us do it in the comic book form at satanicpaniccomic.com.
Over on my end, I do a lot of podcasting. If you're watching us, you see the link right there at podcastiopodcastius.org. Podcastio Podcastius is also the Patreon where I talk about the Twilight Zone, at Time Enough Podcast, a bunch of what are supposed to be really good and really bad movies at Films and Filth, and so on. So I guess that should do it. Man, this is one of those, this is one of the podcasts where I'm going off to the hot spring. If I'm recording on my Monday morning, I'm usually like, I'm going to go to a pizza and go to the onsen, but I can't do that. I'm just going to work. It's not so great. I am going to feel like Asuka, though. It's so hot today. I'm certainly going to feel like I'm in a sauna in my suit.
Act like a man.
American stickers, cryptids, cults, and killers. We got all your favorite conspiracies, all that and more on our sticker sheets. Paranoid American stickers, they'll make you smile and snicker. False flags and secret societies, all of these and more on our sticker sheets.
Explore the unique with Paranoid American sticker sheets. Unearth tales of cryptids, cults, and mysteries through each sticker. These won't last long. Get yours now at paranoidamerican.com.
We're all American stickers, cryptids, cults, and killers. We got all your favorite conspiracies, all that and more on our sticker sheets. Paranoid American stickers, they'll make you smile and snicker. False flags and secret societies, all of these and more on our sticker sheets.
What the heck are you waiting for? Discover the extraordinary with Paranoid American sticker sheets. From cryptids in the night to cults out of sight, each sticker is a unique find. Get yours now at paranoidamerican.com.
Paranoid. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper, the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out out nuclear bomb. Distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Man, it's not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when the beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.